Absolutely delighted that your 23-24 president, Dr. Patin, asked me to share information with you today about not only the good that's been done through Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation, but how those entities, as well as our Rotary District and our individual clubs, have changed, need to keep changing, and in fact, we'll find we thrive when we embrace change. A little bit first, very briefly, about the difference between the Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation. RI, as you probably know, is the collection of Rotary's 32,000 clubs in over 200 countries around the world. The foundation is simply the charitable arm of that organization, enabling the 1.3 million Rotarians of ours to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, supportive education, and the alleviation of poverty. RI is governed by a board of 20, the foundation by a board of 16, but it wasn't always that way. Thank goodness for the man with the vision to create Rotary back in 1905, Chicago attorney Paul Harris. Imagine, however, what Rotary in your club, my club, every Rotary club, would look like had Rotary not changed since his time and vision. We'd be purely focused on business networking, no service involved. Rotary would be only in Chicago. Members, though originally from different industries as well, would be limited to well-established, highly successful business males, and actually only males who own their own business. No women, no minority members, certainly no members early in their career. But even Paul Harris, that many years ago, didn't envision something that static these 30 years after his founding of Rotary when he said what you see on the screen in his book. Fast forward to Rotary International's current vision in 2023, and the focus is still the same. It's still very much based on change. Not just change for change's sake, but lasting change. Change that's responsive to the needs of our members and potential members as society changes. Change given annual change in Rotary leadership, as you're experiencing today at all levels, club, district, and international. Because change triggers opportunities, and change, as always, preferably would be for good, positioning Rotary, in our case, to continually evolve and thrive. So I'm going to hit on just a few, at Dr. Patin's request, a few of the more recent changes in Rotary. One of the most significant is what we call the areas of focus. There are 7. Just as businesses focus on their work to get the best return on their investment, the fact is Rotary work, funded by the Rotary Foundation, even international scholarships, as you heard referenced earlier, must fall into one of these 7 areas of focus that bringing back the return on our investment. 6 of those 7 were identified in 2009, 2010. The 7th added in the last 2 years, protecting the environment. Again, ongoing change in Rotary. Our foundation, also honing its scope, does its work in the areas you see here, the global eradication of polio, 7 university-based peace centers to train scholars interested in promoting peace and understanding, and distribution of worldwide and local grants. Polio is perhaps one of the best known, or better said, the eradication of polio. We've immunized, as you see on the screen here, over 3 billion children, $153 million a year spent, and collected a whopping and still growing $2.1 billion in donations. I know you know, regardless of your age, that polio is only a plane ride away for any of us. But there are only 2 countries today that are still polio endemic. Those are Afghanistan and Pakistan. On the Peace Center side, we're seeing 130 fellowships a year, and to date have had 1,500 graduates as of June of last year from these peace programs. Those 130 fellowships, which are a mix of 50 master's degrees and 80 certificates to study at the centers, are housed in the USA at Chapel Hill, in Tokyo, Japan, Queensland, Australia, Bradford, England, Bangkok, Thailand, Uppsala, Sweden, and Kampala, Uganda, and all doing very good work. Grants, which you've heard something about throughout your club, come in these 3 areas: district, global, and disaster response. The district grants fund club grants They fund scholarships such as Anya's, as you heard today, and cultural exchanges. They fund global grants for funding international projects, all of these having to be in one of those 7, if not more than one of those 7 areas of focus. And our disaster response bringing, sometimes we prefer not, things closer to home, funded last year at a rate of $8 million. That's still for COVID, for disasters, including hurricanes, and as you probably know well throughout the world, for the Ukraine. District grants, which you're eligible for and apply for, have to be certified. The process for that is relatively simple, but oftentimes not known, and then clubs miss out. 2 club members must be certified, generally online or at a district training event. There's an application, there's a budget, and there's a checklist to submit in proposing a grant, and then there's an interim and final report due. The grant usually has a $2,000 maximum in our district, South and Southwest Louisiana. Many clubs collectively or cooperatively propose much higher at $2,000 per club. This year, fortunate and unfortunate, is that 14 clubs have submitted applications so far for the 23-24 grant cycle. Only 14, so we're leaving money on the table. More impressive, in 21 to 22, the Rotary Foundation returned $27 million to local clubs and districts for their grants. So there's that matching opportunity. And that's where your foundation money that is obligated as part of your dues in the case of this club. That's some of where it goes. There are longer-term projects and grants that still have to have sustainable outcomes that support those 7 areas of focus. Those grant amounts have a minimum of $30,000. The Rotary scholarships, once called ambassadorial scholarships, for which I was the recipient and am forever grateful to Rotary for that, as you heard in my introduction. But still today, our district since 1959 has had upward of 300 scholars go to parts all over this world. Many people who you know, some who have been in your club previously. Anya, who's with us today, who'll be studying in the Netherlands very soon. Thanks to your nomination, your vetting of her application against other competitors for that, and ultimately the district's awareness of that. In 21-22, the Rotary Foundation awarded over $73 million in global grants. And the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge certainly has sponsored some of those. So just to wrap up, it's important sometimes to understand where the foundation's money comes from. Your donations to the Rotary Foundation can be directed in one of 3 sources: polio eradication, the annual fund, which we like to think about at Rotary as the checking account to support today's work, or the permanent fund, which is more the savings account to secure tomorrow's work. And where does your money go? Donations to the annual programs fund, 100% is spent 3 years later, and half becomes available to our district. Half to the district, half to global grants. Donations to the permanent fund are invested for the future, or the earnings and the interest become available for our grants, and those donations often go, or uniquely go, to polio eradication. The money's spent almost immediately, it doesn't come back to our district in that case, but there's a share fund that half comes back to the district to fund and half matches your future projects. So 3 years ago, Rotarians in our district donated $240,000, almost $250,000 to the annual fund, and half of that, $120,000, came back directly to our district. It received only 17 applications for district grants this year, a recurring theme. We have a lot of opportunity to seek district grants, to apply with district grants, to seek foundation matching for those monies. All of those 17 were funded at a total of $50,000. It'll be our job to continue at the district level to promote that opportunity, to get you involved, and your leadership's opportunity to find ways to leave less of that money on the table and put it all to work. And then there's a good bit of recognition that goes on. In the interest of time, I'm going to cut short some of my comments, which we can certainly provide you, but I wanted to give you specifically some reference the last 5 years with a banner year in 21-22 attributable to your club. Your club currently has 6 members who have let the Rotary Foundation know that it is included in their will. They're a benefactor for Rotary. 231 of your fellow club members have been recognized as Paul Harris Fellows or multiple Paul Harris Fellows for giving $1,000 or more to Rotary. And 2 are major donors. Since 1918, your club's members have donated almost $2 million to the Rotary Foundation. Specifically, $1,961,227. 144 of you would show by my check, or within $500 of your next recognition level, 16 or under $100 away from the next Paul Harris Fellowship level, and 1, we won't call him or her out, is $1 away. So whatever your amount, whatever your support of the Rotary Foundation, which is really where the work of our Rotary clubs happens, thank you for your support. It means a lot. I'm happy to answer questions if we have time, but I think you have a recognition still due your past president. Thanks for having me. Thanks for what you do for Rotary and what I know you'll do more of.